So, welcome to tFLOW version 9. We've been working quite a bit on this new version, especially with the several changes in the UI that we hope you enjoy. We're working quite hard on that section to make the interface even easier than it was before, and I hope we've accomplished that. So let's go ahead and jump in now with the new UI and take a look at what we've done. So if we jump in here to orders, we'll see that this top bar up here, this header has been completely redesigned. So you have at the top is, if you recall, or in previous versions, there would be a lot of buttons at the top here. It's all been cleaned up now, and so over here on the left side, you have the number of orders that are in this current view. The ability to select all. If you have one selected here, you can select or deselect. If you do select all, of course, then you can just deselect all here as well. And then on the right, these are where all of the controls that used to be in several different buttons and so forth are all stored. So over here we have the search. You can search for things here. Over here you have the ability to add or take out additional information from each one of these job listings. This is your sorting, so you can choose what you want to sort by, as well as if you want to sort up or down. And then the filtering has not changed. So actually, there's no change to filter from the previous versions, so for all tFLOW users, this will look the same and function the same as before. You can see basically the rest of the window has caught up with what we did previously in 8.5 with filters. Let's go ahead and go now to the job view. So as we can see here in the job view, this is also changed. So it follows the same format as the orders. So we have here the number of jobs in this current view. And so again, we can select all, select some, and then over here, this is just to toggle between the different views. So we can go to the list view, the tile view, which is what we're in now, or the Kanban view. And same thing, sorting, filtering, and searching as we had before. One big change here is that when we have we select, say, a job like this one that's waiting approval, and we select the job, what we'll see is that up at the top here, there's basically the actions to guide the user on what the next step should be. So if this is waiting for approval, obviously the next step would be to either approve it or reject it, which, by the way, we can do that from here. So you click on those buttons and you can either approve or reject them. Any additional functions you can do are over here. So these are all of the additional menu items that you have for that job as well, which are also accessible here on the particular job itself. So now you'll see if I switch over to, let's say, a job that's been approved, then the next step, of course, is to send to production. So again, we can click on that and send the job to production, or again, the additional commands I have over here. And let's go ahead and jump into a job here. So we'll go into the proof window. Again, the proof window much cleaner than it was before. So you can see here we have essentially just the name of the job, its state, and again what the actions are for the current job. It's waiting approval, so it's either approve it or reject it. And then we can again switch back and forth for instance users, not for final customers unless you've given them that ability to view proof and production. But you can switch back and forth between the proof and production file here. Also, this will be where you'll have the additional capability to see previous revisions or to compare. Revisions will appear here if you have more than one revision. And then over here would be, again, all of the different functions you are able to do with this particular job. And then down here, it's to go back and forth between your revisions if you have more than one, your pages, and of course you're zooming in and out and fitting to page. So another one of the things I wanted to comment on here was also the ability to add additional users, which I'm going to go ahead and go into now. And let's go ahead and jump back here. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to go back over to the job list, and let's go ahead and choose a job from that. Okay, so for example, this one here that's waiting approval, go ahead and open this job here. So if you recall, we've always had to send invitations. So an invitation essentially would allow you to add somebody temporarily to a job, but now you can also add them permanently. So if we want to add a user, let's say that doesn't exist, we can go ahead and do that. And here we have add user, and you can put in their name or email address, and it will add the user to the system. So in this case, this job is for the instance company, but if I had chosen a job that was for a customer company, it would actually add the customer right into the company. So we don't no longer need to go into settings, users, and create users there. You can just put their name and email in, it automatically adds them right into this both this order and job, as well as to the system itself, and it sends them an email, basically an invitation email that they've been invited to approve or view this particular job if we send it from the job view, or if we send it from the order view, it invites them to the entire order, and they can then view and approve all the jobs within that order. Another thing that we've worked on here is the welcome email. So essentially, this is what it looks like. So when you add somebody to the system, they get a welcome email, which is this is customizable, by the way. You can configure what you want the message to be. And of course, because there are different times that a user can be created, you can actually configure each one of those, which I'll go into in just a second here. But you can also see that if I send it from a re-invite from an already created user, it will also generate a new a new password for that user for them to log in. So it serves two functions. Essentially, you can send resend invites, you can send invites, and then also if you resend it, it will generate a new password for that user. So let's go ahead and take a look at where that's configured. So if we go in here to settings now, and I go into system settings, and let's go into SMTP, and so you see down here at the bottom, we have user creation welcome alerts. That means that you've created the user from the tFLOW UI, and so here you can put in whatever message and format you want that email to have. Now, if we're bringing in CSV import, so CSV import means that you've exported out all of your customers from your database, your MIS system, or your CRM, and you're importing in hundreds or thousands of users. You can notify these users in a different way from the ones that you've created in the tFLOW UI. So that's what this particular one is for here. You can also define if you even want them to get an email or not. So same thing here for anybody that's using the anonymous upload login, if you want them to get an email or not, and again, what you want that email to say. And then for users that are created from the API, so when they're coming in from, let's say, Persero or from an MIS system here. And then this is for any users that are self signups. So you can, again, leave them all the same, or you can configure each one of these independently. And again, that email that I showed you before is the email that they will get welcoming them to tFLOW. As I mentioned before, you also have the ability to resend. So if you do choose to resend an email because they didn't get it the first time, or you want to just invite them again, make sure they get the message. If you go to the user settings here and click on this little envelope, it'll resend. Or you also, if you go into the user itself, you see here, resend welcome message. So if you click on that, that will resend them that welcome message to, hey, log into tFLOW and check it out. Okay, another change here is the links. So previously in tFLOW, as you probably recall, we have public and private links. So a public link requires no login. A private link has a login. And essentially, if you were using one or the other, it would affect the other tabs. So that's no longer the case now. When you use tFLOW, you can have each of the tabs can be independent. So it will recognize if you're already logged in, it will just log you right in. If you are using public links, you can use public links as well as a private link in different tabs. So it's completely independent now in each one of the tabs. Just makes it much, much easier for users, especially instance users that are managing multiple accounts and so forth, to be able to handle each one of those in a separate tab. Okay, so another thing here, it's been requested several times, are approval reminders. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that is. Very simple. So this is our first step, which is the manual approval reminders, which means you can go in and just remind someone, hey, please get this thing moving. We need to get it on into production. So what you have here is the ability here to send a reminder. So very simply, just click that, and that will resend the awaiting approval email to anybody who is responsible for approving this job. And again, that's normally going to be the customer. So that's what that is here, the send reminder. And down here we have more flexible API. This is pretty exciting. The way this works is essentially is let's say you have you again, you won't need to create these because we've already created them in tFLOW, of course. But let's say you have these variables for creating different bleed amounts on the different sides, so the top, the bottom, the left, and the right. So if you create these variables and you use them in your automation scripts, what that means is you can now take these and put those into your script, and when you use those scripts into your products in tFLOW, that automatically updates and can send via the API that listing into your MIS system. So now that when you push an order from the MIS or from your web to print or from your external system, essentially you can send now values for these variables. So that means that now when you place an order in your system, if you have it defined in your front end system, you can say, hey, you know what, I want to do a 1/4 inch bleed on top and bottom, and 1/2 inch on the right and left. So again, this is completely flexible and open. You can create basically as many variables as you want. We have a list of variables already predefined. So before going and creating all your own, check our list first. From our support site, see all the variables that we currently have in the system. We have quite a few. But again, nice thing is if you need to add additional variables that are not covered in the list that we already have, you can go ahead and just add them. They'll be automatically recognized in tFLOW and available to your front-end system. So just want to make one last mention is we've been releasing all these different functions over the course of 3 different system updates. And the one that didn't make it for this current version, but it will be on the next one in another week, is the order level email notifications. So what that means is you can send an order, essentially kind of an order approval out. So you don't approve the order, but it sends one email for all the jobs that are in that particular order. So essentially, rather than sending job level emails, you'll be able to send order level email notifications, which again will greatly reduce the number of emails that go back and forth and give you a lot more control on how you want to manage your communications with your customers. So once again, we're happy to release tFLOW version 9 for you. Hope you enjoy it. Hope it makes your job much easier. It hopes it makes your customers happier. And as always, we appreciate your feedback. Thank you very much.